Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by VIRAT Hindustan Sangham. This program is inspired by Dr. Subramanian Swamy and it is held in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. This program is convened by Ravishankar sir, State Education Convener for VHS Karnataka branch. I am DHANUSH Kumar, your chief mentor of the program. So we are done with polity, history and economy and negotiating the geography. Later on we'll take up the environment. And at last the aptitude and a few other left things. So you can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of VIRAT Hindustan Sangham, and also for any further queries, getting in touch with us, any feedback, suggestions, any doubts regarding any competitive exams, you can contact us on our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum. Right. So yesterday we were talking about the tides, so water and oceans. What is the relationship between the water and how is it, what are the various phenomena of water in the oceans? That may be waves, that may be tides, currents, all these things we have discussed. And also we saw the various types of current across the world, cold current, warm current and all these things. And also we saw the impact of the gravitation on the tidal bulges and how does the waves originate. All these things we saw in the last class. So today we will talk about the life, how life is there on earth. So life is largely confined to the biosphere. So biosphere means what? It includes atmosphere, lithosphere as well as hydrosphere. The combination of these three things together constitutes the biosphere. So all the living components of the earth, so living components, that may be plants and trees, everything you will find it in the biosphere itself, right? So they interact with the environment, the living beings, the animals interact with the environment. So it is actually in the biosphere there are two types of components. One is biotic components, another is abiotic components. So what is biotic components? Biotic components are those things which has life. So it may be plants and trees, right? So which has life is the biotic component. Abiotic component is that those things which do not have life. So for example, your rocks, soil, water, air, all the temperature, all these things are abiotic components, right? So we first, when we talk about the biosphere, we first should talk about the concept called ecology. So ecology, it is a mix of biotic and abiotic components. Ecology means it's a mixture of biotic and abiotic components, and also it includes the interaction between the biotic and abiotic components, right? So there should be in any ecology, if you take you can take the ecology of a forest, you can take the ecology of a ocean, you can take the ecology of a river, or you can take the ecology of a city. So there the biotic and abiotic components are constantly interacting. So there should be a balance in the ecology. If there is a problem in the balance, what happens? There will be pollution, or there will be threat, or there will be the natural disasters, all these kinds of things. So there has to be ecological balance. So this organisms, the living organisms interacting with the abiotic components in a particular habitat. So habitat means what? Where an organism resides, right? So where this organism resides, where this living organisms interact with the abiotic components, so that is called as ecological system. So the place where the organism interacts with the abiotic components in a particular habitat is called as ecological system, right? So where is this term ecology originate from? So it means ecology is originating from the word called oikos, O-I-K-O-S. So what is oikos? Means household. So oikos in a Greek, it means household. So household of all the organisms. So house of the animals is forest. So that is the ecology for the animals. So it means the household. For you, the household is your home. So your home constitutes your ecology, right? That is the concept. Next, you have the concept of habitat. So what do you mean by habitat? Habitat includes physical and chemical factors in an environment. So habitat is a place of residence. So but it includes both physical. Physical components means the temperature, pressure, density, all these things. Chemical components means the chemical composition. What are the different chemicals that are there in the particular environment? So these two things constitute the habitat of a particular place, right? Okay. Then this next comes the concept of ecological adaptation. So humans can adapt to any environment. So if you are put in a desert, so slowly you will adapt to the desert environment. If you are put in a frost region or a polar region, you will slowly adapt. So various organisms have adapted to various ecologies, various environments. For example, if you take the polar bear, it has adapted to the ice places, places with snow and ice, right? So if you take the camels, they are adapted to the desert. So ecological adaptation has taken over years of millions of years, right? Okay. So what are the next we will talk about the different types of ecosystem. What are the types of ecosystem? You have terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. These are the two types of ecosystem. In aquatic so first we will talk about the terrestrial ecosystem. So in terrestrial ecosystem, we call it as a in the specific with respect to terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial means on land. So there we have this concept of biome, B-I-O-M-E, biome. So what is a biome? So biome means it is a plant and animal community in a particular geographical area. So let's say there is this Western Ghats. So Western Ghats, whatever the plants and animals are there in the Western Ghats, they together constitute the biome of that particular place, right? Okay. So next, in the biome, these plants and animal community interact. So they interact. So animals will eat the plants. Plants will take the nutrition from the soil. So there is constant interaction. So there is constant respiration and also taking up of water for growth, interaction of oxygen and carbon dioxide. All these things are there. So plant and animal community, they interact under specific conditions under a biome, right? So there are various biomes. For example, Western Ghat is one biome, and also the plain area is one biome, desert is one biome. So there are various biomes. So which forms the boundary between different biomes? There is, let's say, there is biome 1 and biome 2. So between biome 1 and biome 2, the boundary factor is the climate. Climate forms the boundary factor between different biomes. So the climate of this biome is different from climate of this biome. Climate is the determining factor in differentiating the biomes, right? So what are the various types of biomes? You have forest biome, grassland biome, tundra biome, desert biome. All these are the different types of biomes, right? Next, we will talk about the structure and functions of the ecosystem. So first we have to talk about the aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem. So aquatic ecosystem is divided into two types of ecosystem. One is marine ecosystem, another is freshwater ecosystem. So marine means oceans. Ocean ecosystem is the marine ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem is your lakes. Lakes and rivers are the freshwater ecosystem. Next you have structure and functions of the ecosystem. What function does the ecosystem perform? So first we will talk about when we have to talk about the structure of a particular ecosystem, we have to divide it into abiotic and biotic components. Structure of ecosystem, it is divided into abiotic and biotic components. What are the abiotic components? I have told you rainfall, temperature, humidity, soil conditions. All these are the abiotic components, right? Sunlight and all these things. Sunlight also comes under the abiotic ecosystem, right? And next you have the biotic ecosystem. Biotic ecosystem means what? You have in the biotic ecosystem, you have producers, consumers and decomposers. This is very important. Producers means what? You have green plants. Green plants are the producers. They produce the food. How do they produce the food? Via photosynthesis, taking the energy from the sun, they produce the food. Next, you have consumers. Consumers, you have three types of consumers. First is primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. So, who is the primary consumer? So, all these herbivorous plants. Herbivorous means what? Those plants which eat grasses and leaves, vegetarian animals. So, they form the primary consumers. They consume the raw plant. Right? What are the secondary consumers? Secondary consumers are carnivorous, that is, which eats these herbivorous animals, which eats the deer, which eats the various things, jackal, wolves, jackals, all these things. So, not wolves, deer, elephant, all these things, right? Zebra, right? All these things from the ostrich, all these things from the secondary consumer, right? Primary, secondary consumer. Then you have the tertiary consumer. Tertiary consumers are secondary carnivorous. So, first you have primary consumers is herbivorous, this is carnivorous, and tertiary consumers are also carnivorous. So, these tertiary consumers, they consume the carnivorous, that is, the animals which eat the animals, that will be consumed by this. For example, you take the example of tiger. So, you know this wolves. Wolves eat the deer, right? Wolves and hyenas, they eat the deer, right? So, that wolves is in turn eaten by tiger, right? So, it consumes the carnivorous. Secondary consumers, they consume the what? Primary consumers, well, that is herbivorous. Whereas the tertiary consumers, they consume the carnivorous, which are already eating the animals, right? So, that is the concept. Next, you have the last level, you have the decomposers. Last level is the decomposers. What are decomposers? They decompose the dead organisms, right? So, that is your eagles, jackals, right? So, eagles and jackals, they come under tertiary consumers because they eat the animals, right? Dead animals. Whereas, that if you talk about the decomposers, it is your microorganisms, fungi, all these things. They decompose the dead organisms, right? So decomposers, what they do once the dead organisms are decomposed, they will enrich the soil nutrients. So, nutrients in the soil will be increased because of the decomposition, right? So, soil will enrich. So, that's why, you know, why do they bury the dead animals? Because it will convert into manure, right? So, that is why. So, why do they bury the humans also? Because it will convert into some organic compounds which is useful for the plants, and also that is also your fossil fuels, petroleum, diesel, all are formed out of the decomposition of the dead organisms. Decomposition is done by the decomposers. Clear? Okay. Next, you have the concept of food chain. You have the concept of food chain. What is food chain? So, food chain. So, food chain is the cycle of eating and being eaten. Means what? Let's say there is grass here. Sorry. So, you have grasses here. So, this grass is eaten by what? This grass is eaten by some animal, primary animal, right? Animal 1. Right? So, it might be your grasshopper, all those things, right? That is, let's say, grasshopper. This in turn is eaten by what? Let's say, rat. Rat is eaten by snake. Snake is eaten by eagle. Eagle is eaten by decomposers once it is dead. So, this cycle is the food chain. Eating and being eaten. You eat something, in turn something else will eat you. right? That is the food chain, right? So here there is a flow of energy. See here, this has obtained the energy from the sunlight. So from here the energy flows to all these organisms. This energy gets, so this energy will be going to here, from here to here. So at each level there is a loss of energy. Flow of energy is there. Let's say there is 100 calories of energy here. So this energy will go here, some 75 calories. So this animal, grasshopper or any other insect, butterfly and all, what happens? They will do lot of, they will produce the heat in the body, they will do respiration, all these things, right? Because of which what happens? They will lose some energy. So in turn they will transfer some only 60 kilocalorie of energy, right? Here also this rat will also does digestion, excretion, respiration, all these activities, produces the heat in the body. This will also lose some heat out of the body. So energy is lost here. Here it comes some 40 kilocalorie. Later here it comes some 20 kilocalorie, and here it is some 10 kilocalorie and lost. So this is how the energy reduces. This is how the energy flows from the food chain, right? So, but do you think that there is existing only a particular one food chain on the earth? No. For example, this grasshopper is there. This need not be eaten by the rat, right? This can be eaten by some other animal. Rabbit. Rabbit doesn't eat grasshoppers, I think, right? So, some other animal. So, some other animal might eat the grasshopper. So, that animal 2. That animal can be eaten by, let's say, that not be snake, let's say lizard. So that might be eaten by some other animal, right? So there is no one particular chain. It is interlinked. So this can be eaten by elephant as well, grass, and it can be eaten by directly. It can be eaten by deer also. Deer can be eaten by tiger, or it can be eaten by lion, right? So there is interlinking. There is no one particular chain. There is complex interlinking. So it is called as food web. Food chain is different. So the interlinking of food chain is called as food web, right? Food web. So there are two types of food chain. One is the grazing food chain. Grazing food chain is what I have told you here. This one. Grazing means eating the grass. So that is the first food chain. Then you have the second food chain is, see here from grass it progresses. Second one is detritus food chain. Detritus food chain means what? Here in the detritus food chain, it will start with a dead animal. Let's say a dead tiger or a dead eagle. So this is eaten by some microorganisms will decompose it. So here they will produce some nutrients. So nutrients will go to the soil. So from the soil, it is picked up by the grass again. So this is detritus food chain. That is the decomposition food chain. This is the second type of food chain. In this food chain, there is breakdown of the organic matter in the grazing food. So grazing food chain, in the grazing food chain, what we saw, that is from grass unto the eagle. What we saw here, there is lot of organic matter. Organic matter means what? Organic means that which includes carbon and hydrogen, right? So which includes, you can think organic as something which is related to life. So that is not, though that is not the right definition. Actually it is those components, those things which include carbon and hydrogen is called as organic, okay, as per the chemistry definition. So you can think it as something related to life. So in the grazing food chain, there is lot of organic things. That is, you have the rat, you have eagle, snake, all these things. So these decomposition of these organic matter is the detritus food chain, decomposing. So even if the rat is dead, that will also go like this. Snake is dead, that will also go like this. So the decomposition is called the detritus food chain, right? Next, we will talk about the biomes. So biomes, I have to discuss various biomes. First, you have the So it is not visible, but I can't help it. This is the best picture I could get. Okay. So first you have the forest biome. So I'll explain here itself. I'll explain so that you can. First you have the forest biome. In forest biome you have 5 types of subtypes, that is tropical forest, equatorial forest, deciduous forest, temperate forest and boreal forest. Boreal forest in the hilly regions, right? So this is the 5 types of forest and the regions. So where these regions are allocated, not important. Climatic characteristics also not important. So soil, so various types of soil will be there, that is also not important. Flora and fauna, there are various types of animals, that is what he has said. So this is, so you have to just look at the first 2 columns. So next is the desert. So desert biome, you have hot and dry desert. Hot and dry desert is the first subtype. Second is semi-arid, semi-arid desert. So semi-arid means steppe type of climate. It is not completely dry. It is half dry. So semi-arid and also coastal desert all around the coast, and also cold desert. Where do you find cold desert in India? Ladakh region. Ladakh is a cold desert in India. So here he has given the regions. You have Sahara desert, Tar desert, all these things. Temperature is given. So here the soil in the desert is, it has rich nutrient but no organic matter. Organic matter won't be there. So where do you find the grasses or the leaves in the desert? No, right? So there is no organic matter. So what are the flora and fauna? Scanty vegetation. Vegetation is very less. Some types of animal you will find it, rabbits, rats and all those things, right? Okay. Next you have the grassland. So grassland, you have 2 types of grassland, tropical savanna and temperate steppe. Tropical is in the tropical region. So you have the savanna. In the savanna, where do you find it? Somewhere in Australia, Africa and all those areas. So here is given the climate, hot climate, rainfall will be there. So here he has given about the soil. Soil is in porous with thin layer of humus. So in the grassland, there is a thin layer, very thin layer of manure will be there. Manure, humus means dead leaves and all those things. There will be very thin layer, right? So that is in the grassland. So there are 2 grasses will be there in the grassland. So trees and large shrubs are present. Giraffe, zebra, all are the animals present in the grassland. So that is the 3rd type of biome. The 4th type of biome is aquatic. In the aquatic, you have 2 types, subtypes. One is the freshwater biome and marine biome. So where do you find it? Lakes, streams, rivers and all these areas. Temperature will be varying. So you have water swamps and marshes there. And also what are the flora and fauna? Algae. Algae will be there. So you know what is algae. So the green color, mosses type of things on the, so you see the green patch on the rocks, right? That is algae actually. So algae, marine plant communities will be there in the aquatic ecosystem. Then you have the altitudinal biome. Altitudinal biome is height, that is hilly regions. So what are the, where are they found? They are found on the Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, all these areas. So the type of soil in the altitudinal, that is hills, is the regolith. On the hills you find this type of soil called as regolith, right? So their temperature and precipitation varies. So the type of animals and plants is deciduous forest. You find deciduous to tundra vegetation, up to tundra vegetation. Tundra is this type of vegetation where you find some rhododendrons and all these plants. So you pine trees. So if you see the polar region, the type of plants there is completely different. So we have willows, birch, right? And also rhododendron plants and also pine trees, type of trees will be there in the polar region. So that is the type of the forest you will find in the altitudinal regions, right? That is in the hilly regions. Okay. So next we will talk about the biogeochemical cycles. biogeochemical cycles. So what is biogeochemical cycles? How the chemicals, circulate, or how the gases, various components of the earth, that might be carbon dioxide, oxygen, hydrogen, how do they go through the cycle? That is, they are present in the atmosphere. How do they come to the soil? From soil, how do they go to the water? From water, how do they again go to the atmosphere? How it will be taken up by the plants? From plants, how do they go to the atmosphere again? So this cycle of various components of the lithosphere or hydrosphere or atmosphere is called as the biogeochemical cycle. Bio means what? Bio means life cycle. Geo means earth. So this is present in the earth. And chemicals. So this includes the chemicals, various chemicals, carbon, hydrogen, all these things. So biogeochemical cycles, right? So first, so where do you find the energy for all these cycles? It is sun, which is the energy. So all the cycles, it might be carbon cycle, hydrogen, water cycle, hydrogen cycle, nitrogen cycle, oxygen cycle. For all these cycles, the energy comes from the sun. Sun is the source of energy. So how sun is the source of energy? Because the solar energy is consumed by the plants via photosynthesis, right? So via photosynthesis, there is source of food for animals and plants. So plants also derive their energy from photosynthesis. By consuming the plants, animals will derive the energy from the photosynthesis indirectly. Plants directly, animals indirectly. Suppose, let's say, if 100 quantity, that is 100 kilocalorie of energy is coming to earth from the sun, how much energy is fixed in the photosynthesis? How much energy is taken up by the photosynthesis? Let's say if 100 kilocalories comes to the earth, only 0.1% is consumed by the photosynthesis. Only 0.1% is fixed in the photosynthesis. Okay, so in the biogeochemical cycles, these are the cycles. So this is a carbon dioxide cycle. I'll explain what it is. So here what happens, there is diversity of association. See, carbon dioxide is associated with animals, decomposition, roots, plants. So there is diversity, various types of association in the cycle. So it is associated with the water also, land also, atmosphere also, gases also, everything. So in this cycle, there is flow of energy. So there will be flow of energy, there will be flow of water and flow of nutrients in the biogeochemical cycles, right? Okay, so here first we will talk about the carbon cycle. So in the carbon cycle, what happens? First, there is carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that carbon dioxide is taken up by the plants. Plants respire the carbon dioxide. They take up the carbon dioxide assimilation. It is assimilated by the plants. From plants it goes to, so here plants not only take the carbon dioxide, in the night time they will give out the carbon dioxide. That is why you are advised in the night time don't go near the trees, right? So because night time they will give out carbon dioxide. So plants also give out the carbon dioxide. So cycle is complete here. And also plants via root respiration. So via root respiration they are going to do what? They are going to, so one more thing is, here you have animals. So animals via respiration, we give out carbon dioxide that goes to the atmosphere, and also in the animals. So our body is made of carbon. So lot of carbon will be there. Once we are dead, so that carbon will be decomposed by the decomposers, right? So also roots respiration. Roots also give out the carbon dioxide via the respiration. So that will go to the via decomposers and root respiration. Carbon dioxide will go back to the atmosphere. So this is the flow of energy, water and nutrients. So here you are just seeing the flow of carbon dioxide, how it flows in the between the land and, so here there is no water, but land and atmosphere, right? In the carbon dioxide cycle. So in the atmosphere and hydrosphere, there is Balance of chemical elements means what? See, why should these cycles be there? See, I told you carbon dioxide cycle. First of all, why should there be a cycle? Because what happens in the atmosphere and hydrosphere, there will be imbalance of the chemicals, right? So to balance the chemicals, right? So if there is atmosphere, there is excess carbon dioxide that is taken up by the animals, right? If in the water there is excess some element that is taken up by the atmosphere. So to balance the chemical elements, these type of cycles take place among the takes place in the biosphere. So all these things these cycles undergo in the biosphere. So biosphere includes what all? Litho, hydro, atmosphere, right? Okay. So there are two types of cycle. The first type of cycle is sedimentary cycle and the second type of cycle is gaseous cycle. So what you saw now of the carbon dioxide, it is a gaseous cycle, right? It is a gaseous cycle. So where these gases are saved, so the reservoir for gases is, so either gases will be present in the atmosphere or it is present in the oceans. So gaseous cycle source is the atmosphere or oceans, right? Whereas on the sedimentary cycle, the other type of cycle is a sedimentary cycle. What is a reservoir for sedimentary cycle? It is either the soil or the rocks. Either soil forms the source or rocks form the source of the sedimentary cycle. Next you have the water cycle. Water cycle I have already discussed. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. The water cycle I have discussed in the last class. Next you have the carbon cycle. I have discussed the carbon cycle, carbon dioxide cycle also. So here carbon is the basic element of an organic compound. If you take out any organic compound, I already told you what is organic compound. It is something related to life, right? So it includes hydrogen and carbon. So carbon is the basic element of the organic compound. So this carbon dioxide is fixed by the photosynthesis. So it is fixed by the photosynthesis, right? So this once the plant fixes the carbon dioxide, what does it convert the carbon dioxide into? It converts the carbon dioxide into carbohydrates and glucose. So this energy, carbon dioxide, what is consumed by the plants, it is converted into two things. One is carbohydrate, carbs. So when you eat food, you get carbs, right? So that carbohydrates and also glucose, various types of glucose, sucrose, all these things, it is converted into, right? So, and also this is stored in the plant tissue. This carbon dioxide gets stored in the plant tissue, right? Inside tissue. Tissue means what? So you have cells, many cells form when the cells come together, they form a tissue, right? So like animals have tissues, plants also have tissues. So in the tissues, this carbon dioxide is saved, right? Next you have the oxygen cycle. Oxygen cycle is also impacted by the photosynthesis. Oxygen cycle is not given. So it is also impacted by the photosynthesis. So in the oxygen cycle, what happens? See, in the carbon cycle, I told you carbon dioxide is used for what? Using carbon dioxide is converted into carbohydrates and glucose by the plants. But this carbohydrates gets oxidized in the oxygen cycle. Oxidized means adding of oxygen. So if there is nitrogen, nitrogen will become nitrous oxide. If there is sulfur, sulfur becomes sulfur oxide, right? If there is some other component, it will become the oxide of that particular component, right? So if you have hydrogen, hydrogen oxide, all these things. So this oxidation of the carbon dioxide, carbohydrates generated in the carbon cycle will be done by the oxygen cycle. So why oxidation? So when you oxidize something, it will be useful for some purpose, right? So that is why oxidation takes place. So even your rust on the iron is because of oxidation, right? Oxidation of the iron, right? So this oxygen combines with various elements. So in the oxygen cycle, oxygen combines with various elements. It combines with carbon to become carbon dioxide. It combines with hydrogen to become either water or something else, right? So it goes on combining with various elements. So how does the oxygen is produced? So I told you in the earlier classes, so oxygen in the atmosphere was born out of the degassing of the oceans. So oceans were saturated with oxygen and later oxygen flooded the atmosphere. So this oxygen is obtained by breaking the water. So water is what? H2O. So when you break the H2O, you find the oxygen, right? By breaking the H2O, you will find the oxygen. So you will, where do this oxygen comes from? One is from the respiration of plants. Plants give out oxygen, and also transpiration of the plants. Transpiration means from the leaves they will give out the, so it might be due to evaporation or giving out water vapor and oxygen from the leaves of the plants. That is called as transpiration. Giving out water vapor or oxygen from the leaves of the plants is called as transpiration. Now next we will talk about the nitrogen cycle. In nitrogen cycle, so in the atmosphere there will be nitrogen that is fixed. So nitrogen cannot be directly used. Other things can be directly used. So this nitrogen, how much percentage of oxygen is the nitrogen? 78% of oxygen, 75% of the atmosphere is nitrogen. How much is oxygen? 21%, right? So this nitrogen is where do you all find the nitrogen on earth? You will find it in amino acids. So various types of acids, amino acids used in the food, and also nucleic acids, acids found in the nucleus. So there you will find the nitrogen. And also proteins, you consume various types of proteins, right? Animal protein, plant protein, there also nitrogen is present. So there are some areas where nitrogen can be used directly by plants, but the majority of area there is no direct use of the nitrogen. Rather the nitrogen is fixed. How do the nitrogen is fixed? One is fixing means what? Converting. See, the atmospheric nitrogen is not directly usable by the plant. So it has to be converted into usable form. So how is it converted? By microorganisms in the soil. So you have this rhizobium. Rhizobium converts the atmospheric nitrogen into the usable form, nitrites or nitrates, right? So microorganisms in the soil is the first thing, and also nitrogen is converted into usable form by lightning, thunder and lightning. They can fix the nitrogen, and also marine organisms, marine animals in the oceans, they can also convert the nitrogen into usable form, right? So once few organisms convert the nitrogen into usable form, then other organisms can also start using the nitrogen, until which it is not directly usable by the organisms, right? So this later what happens, this once the nitrogen is fixed, so you have the nitrate compounds. So how do you obtain the nitrate compounds? See this, here it is there, biological fixation, that is microorganisms, and industrial fixation. Industries can also fix the nitrogen via various processes. So here in the biological fixation, what happens? The bacteria, so the bacteria will convert the nitrogen into either nitrate or nitrite. So this is the two things, nitrate or nitrite. So later this nitrate or nitrite is undergoes denitrification. Via denitrification, the nitrogen returns to the atmosphere, right? So this is the nitrogen cycle, it goes back to the atmosphere. So the next concept is the ecological balance. So in the ecology, that is in the environment, there should be balance. If human, so human is the only animal which is in excess populations, almost 7.5 billion now. So is there any animal or plant with this much number? No, only. So there is ecological imbalance. There should be proper balance among the environment. Proper number of trees, proper number of animals, proper number of humans, proper number of plants. So when this equilibrium, so entire earth is based on a equilibrium. Equilibrium means some kind of balance is there. When this balance is there, there is stability, or else there was no stability. So one example I will give you. you take the concept of diversity. So diversity means what? So you have so many thousands or lakhs of varieties of animals. You have lakhs of varieties of plants. So this is called as diversity. So is diversity good or bad? Because diversity is good because it promotes stability. For example, even if one or two animals or one or two plants are dead, other things will manage. So if diversity is not there, what happens? You take the example of food chain itself. So every animal is dependent on only one other animal. So if that animal, so let's say animal B is dependent on animal A. If animal A goes extinct, if it is completely extinct, B will also go extinct because there is dependence, right? So there should be diversity. Animal B should be dependent on various animals. So even if A goes off, it can depend on C or D, right? So there should be proper diversity. When diversity is there, in the ecology, there is stability, right? Okay. So the number of herbivorous, carnivorous, they should be very high. So all the types of animals and plants should be very high in order to promote the diversity. So first, in this, when we talk about the ecological balance, we have to talk about the concept of succession, ecological succession. What is succession? See, first there will be some barren land. Nothing will be there. Later, some animals and plants will come and occupy the area. This is called as primary succession. Barren area, some plants and animals come and occupy. So this is called as the primary succession. So this primary succession, once this primary succession is done, secondary succession will take place. So some other animals or plants which are dependent on these plants and animals, they will come and take over this space. That is called as secondary succession. That is secondary species, right? So this is the concept of succession, primary and secondary succession. First it will be barren. First animals and plants, some animals and plants will come, that is primary. Later on that will also go off and some other animals and plants will come. So once this, see, in the primary succession, once there is some trees or some plants or animals, what they will do, they will bring changes to the ecosystem, right? So they will give out oxygen, they will consume some food, they will alter the temperature, they will alter the soil. So this entire thing will become a new area. So once this becomes a new area, some other animal and plant which is adaptable to this new area, they will come and occupy. That is secondary succession. So this is the concept of succession. So next we will talk about in the secondary succession is very important. Because secondary succession, there should be one particular, already some established primary succession should be there. So there should be some proper environment where the secondary succession will take place. So here we will talk about the concept of disturbance. So in disturbance, what happens? How is the ecosystem disturbed? It is either naturally or via humans. So naturally means earthquakes, floods and all these things. Humans means pollution, deforestation, greenhouse gases, all those things. So even before also there used to be succession. Primary succession will be taken over by secondary succession. But because of human intervention, the number of successions are increasing. Because human is occupying all the land and exploiting all the resources. So the number of successions are increasing, which is a bad sign, right? So last, the concept of this world physical geography is biodiversity and conservation. Biodiversity and conservation. So what is biodiversity? Biodiversity. So biodiversity means, bio means living things. Diversity, how many types of living things are there on the earth is called as biodiversity. So this biodiversity is our wealth. I have told you, because if there are multiple animals, the chances of survival is high. Because if one or the two animals are removed, the balance won't be disturbed. But if there are only one or two animals, if they are dead, the entire thing is dead. So biodiversity is very important. That is why it is called as a living wealth of our planet. It is the true wealth of our planet, right? So where does the biodiversity originate from? It originates from the soil, right? So if you take the plants, if you take the animals, everything is originated out of what? Soil only, right? So where does the soil originate from? From the rocks. So these rocks are the source of the biodiversity. Rocks to soil, soil to the biodiversity, right? So where does the energy for the biodiversity comes from? Where does the energy for the animals and plants come from? It comes from the solar energy. It comes from solar energy and water. These are the two sources, right? So humans. So because of humans, the biodiversity is increasing or decreasing? It is decreasing because we are causing extinction of many animals and plants. So there is one data that the 99% of the variety of animals and plants that were there on the earth, today they are extinct. 99% have gone into extinction. 99% of the species, right? So is the biodiversity, when we talk about biodiversity, we should also talk about this fact, is it equally distributed? So biodiversity is concentrated in some places, but that is variety. So you take the equatorial forest, Amazon forest. So there is lot of biodiversity. There are thousands of plants, thousands of animals. But if you take the polar region, there is no biodiversity. There are hardly 1 or 2 plants, 5 or 6 animals. So biodiversity varies from place to place, right? So under this, when we talk about the biodiversity, we have to talk about the variety of diversity. First is the genetic diversity. What is genetic diversity? You take the example of humans itself. So among you are all of you same, no, right? So we belong to the same species. We are humans, but we are different. Why? Because of the genetic diversity. The genes within us, DNA, RNA are different, right? So this genetic diversity is the basic building block. See, if there was only one gene in the humans, the humans would have gone extinct. So because that is why they advise you, don't marry in the close family. Because genes are very close. When genes are very close, there is high risk of diseases being developed. So diverse the genes, the more the diversity among the genes, more is the adaptability. So diversity, genetic diversity is the basic building blocks of any species. So because of the genetic variation, we have changes in the height, color, all these things, right? And various things, various races, various colors is because of the genetic diversity. So, this genetic diversity, if the genetic diversity is more, the population will increase. If genetic diversity is less, the population would decrease. Next, we will talk about the species diversity. What is species diversity? So, species means those components or those things, those animals or plants which have similar physical characteristics, right? So, all of us are human species. We have the same 2 legs, same 2 hands, same head, nose, eyes, right? So similar physical characteristics belong to species. So similar physical characteristics called as species. So they are located in a defined area. One particular area they will be there, right? So humans are largely concentrated. So now though humans are everywhere. You take up some tigers or any other species. They are located in particular areas, right? So there is concept of species richness. Species richness means what? If there are multiple types of species, if you take animal, if there are multiple types of animals, if there are multiple types of plants, then it is called as species richness, right? So then there is concept of species abundance. Abundance means if particular species, how much numbers they are. Particular, if they take the tiger species, how many tigers are there? Then you have the species types. How many types of species are there in a particular region, right? So this is the richness, abundance and types of species. So then you have the hotspots of diversity. Species hotspots. Hotspots means, so see, all the hotspots are located somewhere around the equator. So you have this, first you have in India, you have Western Ghats, it's a hotspot. You will find lot of animals and plants. Eastern Himalayas is a hotspot. Then you have Madagascar. Madagascar is a hotspot. Then Guinea is a hotspot. Central America, this Andes, that is Brazil region, is a hotspot. Colombia is a hotspot. Indonesia is a hotspot. So their hotspot means there are multiple types of plants and animals, right? So that is why it is rich in species, right? Okay. Next you have ecosystem diversity. First is genetics, second is species, third is the ecosystem diversity. So ecosystem means, ecosystem includes various types of animals. Ecosystem means it includes multiple types of animals, it includes multiple types of habitats, and also it includes multiple processes. It includes the respiration process, it includes the consumption process, it includes the what? Digestion process, excretion process. So various things are involved in the ecosystem diversity. So in the ecosystem diversity, between the ecosystem, see in the species, the boundary, the difference between species, there is clear-cut boundary. So we can differentiate between a cat and a dog. But when it comes to ecosystem, the differentiation is not very rigid. So it is actually difficult. So what is the importance of biodiversity? Why biodiversity is needed? So, biodiversity influences the human culture. First importance is it influences the human culture. So if you take the example of the tribes, so the tribal people, their culture is influenced by the forest or the region they are living in. In turn, biodiversity is influenced by the humans also. Humans also influence the biodiversity. So humans take up a plant, take up some fruit, eat and throw it somewhere. So there that plant will come. So biodiversity is influenced by the humans also. Humans hunt some animals, so that animal will go extinct. So humans are influencing the biodiversity there as well, right? So the first importance of biodiversity is ecological role. What is the ecological role? So ecological means that is the environmental role of biodiversity. So in the environmental role, you have, there are interdependence of organisms. So in the environment, there are multiple types of organisms. So these organisms are dependent on one another, right? If there is high biodiversity, there is high interdependence. So there will be stability in the environment. So that is the ecological role of the biodiversity. Next is energy role. Energy role you have. So in the ecological role only you have the biodiversity acts as an energy storage of energy, right? So all the animals will store the energy, right, by consuming the food. So biodiversity acts as a store of energy. Once they decompose, what happens? The energy will be released again in the environment. So they act as a storage of energy. They also act as a storage of organic matter. Biodiversity stores the organic matter. Biodiversity is also helpful in recycling water. That is the ecological role. So water gets recycled in the because of biodiversity. So that is the ecological role of the biodiversity. Cycling of water. Then you have, if biodiversity increases, the survival of the animals also increase. If biodiversity decreases, survival decreases. So if the biodiversity increase, stability also increases in the ecosystem. That is the ecological role. Next we will talk about the economic role of the biodiversity. Economic role means what? So you have various types of crops, right? It is a contribution of biodiversity. So you have, that is called agrodiversity, right? So agrobiodiversity, the various types of crops you are consuming is because of biodiversity. Because of multiple crops are there. What if there was only rice to eat? So biodiversity gives multiple types of crops. Biodiversity gives food, Biodiversity could give various types of animals for consumption. Also, biodiversity gives various medicinal plants. That is the economic role. Then you have the scientific role of biodiversity. What is the scientific role? So if you examine the biodiversity, you can find the clues about the evolution of Earth. How did the Earth evolve? So if you look at the animals, Homo sapiens some 10,000 years back, and now you will get to know how humans have evolved, right? Scientific research, it is useful, and also understanding the life, biodiversity, how life has evolved on the Earth. There also biodiversity is useful, and also that is the scientific role of the biodiversity. So next we will talk about the loss of biodiversity. Why biodiversity is going lost? First is increasing human population. Because of increasing human population, humans want to consume lot of natural resources. So natural resources are going extinct, right? That is the negative. Then you have deforestation. Deforestation is also reducing the biodiversity. Then there is loss of various habitats. Various habitats are getting reduced. Then you have because of natural calamities, disasters also, many biodiversity is reducing. So if there is a forest fire, natural disaster, many plants and animals die. So biodiversity will decrease, right? So also because if you include the pesticides, too much pesticides also reduce the biodiversity. Then you have introducing exotic species. Exotic species means what? So you have in India, so let's say there is this Parthenium grass. So it is not from India. So it has come from some American region. So once it came to India by somehow, so it is a weed. So what is it doing? It's an exotic species. Exotic species means it is not belonging to India. It has come from somewhere else. So what does it do? It will consume the energy from our surrounding plants. So surrounding plants will die. So exotic species also reduce the biodiversity. Hunting will also reduce the biodiversity. So then to conserve the biodiversity, we have this International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. IUCN has 3 categories of protection. So the first category is endangered. So this is IUCN Red List. It is called as IUCN Red List. So in the red list you have endangered categories, endangered animals. So some animals are critically endangered. Some are just endangered. The endangered animal is, you have critically endangered, you have dugong is there. Some types of this vultures are critically endangered. So some things are critical. So you have the cheetah. Cheetah is extinct in India. Cheetah is not there in India. Only leopards are there, right? Tiger is endangered. Tiger is not critically endangered. Tiger is endangered. Elephant is also endangered. So these are the endangered species that is in the red list. The second list is vulnerable species. Second list is vulnerable. There you have likely, these are the animals that will go extinct in future. If we do not take proper care, they will get extinct in the future. That is vulnerable list. The third one is the data deficient list. So about some animals, if we don't have any data, how much abundance they are in, that is data deficient list. So you have critically endangered, endangered, vulnerable, and data deficient, and least concern. So actually there are 6 categories. One is, this is very, very important. First is extinct, those which have gone extinct. So the extinct is, so the best example is cheetah in India is extinct. And you have the critically endangered, dugong is there, some type of vultures are there. Endangered, tiger and elephant. Then you have vulnerable, which will be vulnerable to extinction. Then you have the least concern, for those animals for which we need not show any concern. For example, deer. There are multiple deers. We need not talk about that, right? Then you have data deficient. For some animals, we do not have any data. That is data deficient. So also this is the things. Then we will talk about the last concept of this chapter, conservation of biodiversity, how biodiversity is conserved, how it is preserved. First is we have to reduce the population, we have to reduce the human intervention in the forest, right? We have to reduce the deforestation, right? We have to reduce the hunting, and we also reduce the international trade of animals. So these are the things. We have to educate the people, and we have to cooperate with the forest people. They will be knowing, having lot of knowledge. Then with respect to, these are the things, with respect to protect the biodiversity, there is a convention, Earth Summit 1992, Rio Earth Summit 1992, we have the convention on biodiversity, right? So there are some 3 conventions are signed. One is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, 1992. Then is the Conservation of Biodiversity, Convention on Biodiversity, that is 1992. 1994, you will sign the Convention on the Desert and Desertification, right? Okay. So in order to protect the biodiversity, we have to preserve certain species. So we have to take certain species and protect in some safe houses, right? Then you can also, we have to prevent the extinction of certain species. Certain species are likely to go extinct, they have to be protected. Then crops have to be preserved. Certain crops can also go extinct. For example, in Svalbard in Norway, where is Norway? I'll show you here. Somewhere here. Norway, Svalbard is somewhere here. What? They have a seed bank. So all the word seeds are saved there. In order to, suppose the crop will get extinct, we can take the seed from there and regrow the crop, right? In Svalbard it is there. Then we have to, in order to conserve the biodiversity, we have to regulate the international trade as well, right? Then with respect to protection of biodiversity, what do we have? What have we done in India? We have Wildlife Protection Act 1972, according to which we have national parks, sanctuaries, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks are demarcated. Before that, there was concept of reserve forest, protected forest. After that, now we have national park, wildlife sanctuary, all those things, right? Then also we have what? 2016 to 2030, we have a UN India decade for ecosystem rejuvenation. Ecosystem rejuvenation anta we have done. Andre, to protect the environment from 2016, we have a new mission in India, right? Okay. Then we will last concept of this chapter. There we will talk about the mega diversity centers. Mega diversity, that is where there is lot of diversity. There are 12 countries where the mega diversity is there. What are the 12 countries? Mexico, you have mega diversity. Then you have Colombia has mega diversity. Brazil has mega diversity. Ecuador has mega diversity. Peru has mega diversity. Then you have the Democratic Republic of Congo. They have mega diversity. Then you have Madagascar. This was mega diversity. China has mega diversity. India has mega diversity. Malaysia, Indonesia, and Australia. All these countries have mega diversity. Mega means very high diversity among the animals and plants. Next. So also IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, they have also marked certain biodiversity hotspots. Certain hotspot means where biodiversity is very high. This organization also have marked. So marked certain hotspots. So they have marked Madagascar. So if you take the example of Madagascar, which continent does Madagascar belong to? African continent. So in Madagascar, 85% of the animals and plants found in Madagascar is not found anywhere else, right? So it is a biodiversity hotspot. Okay, now we have finished the world physical geography. We will move towards India physical geography. We'll talk about the India now. So with respect to India physical geography, India. So what is India physical geography? First we have to talk about the India's location. So what is the longitude and latitude of India? So the southernmost. So what is the longitudinal extent of India? So the longitude of India, it's, one second, I will also have to check. I've forgotten. So India begins from 6.44 degree north, and from 6 degree to 35 degree north, and latitude is 68 degree to 97 degree east is the longitude of India is 6 degree 44 minutes to 35 degree 30 minutes north is the longitudinal extent, and latitudinal extent is 68 degree 7 minutes east to 97 degree 25 minutes east is the longitude, right? So latitude means this, longitude means horizontal. I mean longitude is a vertical line, so India has, so from here, so here in the tip of Andaman and Nicobar you have how much? 6 degree 44 minutes here, and the tip of Jammu and Kashmir you have 35 degree 30 minutes. From here you have 68 degree 7 minutes, and till here you have 97 degree 25 minutes, right? That is the longitudinal and latitudinal extent of India. The southernmost tip is 6 degree 45 minutes, right? Okay, so this, if you look at the longitudinal and latitudinal extent, approximately it is 30 degree. So north to south, east to west, it is actually 30 degree. So where do we find, if this is 30 degree north to south and east to west, where do we have the standard meridian of India? Where do we measure the time? So the time measurement is 82 degree 30 minutes east is the standard meridian of India. The line which passes through 82 degree 30 minutes is the standard meridian. By that we determine the time. It is, you have Greenwich meridian 0 degree standard meridian. So that passes through London, right? UK. So how much far is this meridian? It is 5.5 hours. 5 hour 30 minutes ahead of the Greenwich meridian, right? So they will ask this question: via how many states does the standard meridian of India passes through? It passes through 5 states: UP, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Odisha. These are the 5 states the standard meridian of India passes through, right? So what is the long distance between the tip of northern and southern tip of India? So it is 3,214 kilometer. You can just remember 2,214 kilometer. And east to west, what is the east to west distance? It is 2,933 kilometer. East to west, it is 2,933 kilometer. Okay. So here the time difference between this point to this point is 2 hours. Actually it is 2 hours, but we follow the same time. Now there is a demand for a separate time zones in India. So in USA you have how many time zones? You have 5 time zones, right? So likewise in Russia you have some 11 or 12 time zones, right? So there are India, we have only one time zone, so they are demanding that there should be a multiple time zones. So India has how many? What are the types of climate India has? In which region does India fall into? It falls in the tropical region and subtropical region. See, till here it is tropical, Tropic of Cancer. So how many states does the Tropic of Cancer passes through in India? What are the 8 states? Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Tripura, Mizoram. 8 states totally, right? So, till here it is tropical. Above this it is subtropical or warm temperate climate in India, right? What is the area of India? It is 3.28 million square kilometer. 3.28 million square kilometer. It is the 7th largest country. 7th, 8th. 7th largest country. So how much percentage of the world area does India have? 2.4% of the world's land surface, right? So you have multiple diversity in India. We have mountains, we have rivers, we have deserts, we have the mountains in the form of Himalaya mountain is there, Hindu Kush mountain is there, Suleiman range is there. So this was also belonging to India at one point of time. So now it is outside India, which it comes into India again. Okay, so Himalaya, Hindu Kush, Suleiman range is there. We have Purvanchal Hills. This is Purvanchal Hills is there. Then you have the Indian Ocean to the south. So because of all these things, it is not called as a country, rather a subcontinent. Whenever we talk about India, we talk India as a subcontinent. Subcontinent means it is a continent, because Indian subcontinent doesn't include India alone. It includes Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, all these countries, right? So next we will talk about the coastline of India. How much coastline does India has? It has, so the mainland has 6,100 kilometer of coastline. That is from here till here, 6,100 kilometer. But if you include the Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep, it comes up to 7,517 kilometer of coastline. That is why Narendra Modi government has focused on the Sagarmala project. Current affairs. Sagarmala project is there. Then you have coastal oriented development program is there. Various programs are there, right? So we have India is located in the south central part of Asia. It is not exactly South Asia. It is south central part of Asia. So we know, you know the neighbors, right? Which are the countries which are neighboring India. So what is the next? We will talk about the structure and physiography of India. What is the structure and physiography of India? So when we talk about India, we have to first look at the earth itself. So earth is 460 million years old. Earth is 460 million years old, and earth has been formed via various endogenic and exogenic processes, right? So you know what is endogenic process, what is the exogenic process. Earth has been formed via various endogenic and exogenic. So similarly, Indian topography has also been formed via various endogenic and exogenic processes, right? So that day I told you Indian plate. So Indian plate is part of it is called as the Indo-Australian plate. Earlier it was below equator. Millions of years ago it was below equator. Now slowly it has come to collide with the Eurasian plate. So the Australian plate went towards Australia. The present Australia, Indian plate came up. So Indo-Australia plate is same, but some part came above towards Eurasian plate, that is Europe and Asian plate, and it collided, and the other plate, the Australian part, went that side, right? So we have 3 geological divisions of India. India can be divided into 3 geological divisions. So one is the peninsular block. So this is the peninsular block, So this region is the Indian peninsular block. So I'll tell you the boundary. Next is the mountains. It is either Himalayan mountains and also peninsular mountains. Third is the plain region. Indo-Ganga Brahmaputra plain region. So when we talk about the peninsular block, which forms the, what forms the boundary of the, see, this is the Indian peninsula. Peninsula means what? Three sides water, one side's land. What is Gulf? Three sides land, one side water. So you have Gulf of Mannar. See, three sides land and one side water. What is a strait? Here there is this Park Strait is there. P-A-K Strait. What is Park Strait? What is the meaning of strait? It is a narrow passage between two big seas, two big water bodies. See, here you have one big water body. Here on this side also you have one big water body. Here Park Strait is connecting both these big water bodies, right? So this peninsular block, it begins from Rann of Kutch. This is Rann of Kutch. From there it begins and it goes up to Aravalis. Here somewhere it is Aravalis is there. See, here Aravali range is there. Aravalis. Then from there it flows. It goes parallel to Yamuna. It will come like this. Yamuna is here. So it will come here, this peninsular block. Then it comes up to Rajmahal Hills. So Rajmahal Hills, it is northeast of Chota Nagpur Plateau. Rajmahal Hills is here, right? So it will come till there, and from there it will culminate at Ganga Delta. So it is briefly, it is like this. This is the peninsula. This is the peninsular boundary. Not only that, they say this is called as Karbi Anglong Plateau. This part is Karbi Anglong and Meghalaya Plateau. So they say that this was also part of the Indian peninsula, this peninsular block. But later there was a fault here, fault on a gap. That gap is called Malda Fault. Malda Fault, very, very important. So this Malda Fault was later on filled up by the sediments brought by the Ganga. Right? Malda Fault divided the peninsular block with the Karbi Anglong and Meghalaya Plateau. That is one side. But they say this part was also part of the peninsular plateau. But later, even today, but the bottom part is part of peninsular plateau. Now above we are filled with sand in the desert. Right? So this peninsular plateau, what is it formed of? What is it made of? It is made up of granite and gneiss. What are granite and gneiss? They are igneous rock. So peninsular block is made up of igneous rock, granite and gneiss. So that is why it is rigid and stable. So it is a rigid and stable. That is why you don't find many earthquakes. Right? So this peninsular block is existing since the Cambrian period. So I've told you Eon, era, period, epoch, right? In the physical world, physical geography. So this belongs to the pre-Cambrian age, Cambrian period, peninsular block. And this west coast, see west coast, this part is submerged within the ocean, west part. So they say, right, this Dwarka is submerged. Dwarka, city of Dwarka. Okay. So here, this part was formed because of tectonic activity. Tectonic means what? Plate tectonics. Because of plate tectonics, this part was formed. Here, the faulting took place. Faulting means gap. Two rocks moving away. There is a crack in the rock, that is a fault. And also vertical movement. One is faulting, and some rocks also moved vertically, horizontal movement and vertical movement in this particular plateau. So that is why you find the Narmada, you have Vindhya and Satpura, right? So where does Narmada flow? It flows between Vindhya and Satpura. So that is where Narmada flows, no, that is a rift valley. Rift valley is because of a fault. So here there was upliftment and also a fault, because of which there is a valley, rift valley between the Vindhya mountain and Satpura mountain, where today's Narmada flows. So this Satpura movement is also, Satpura mountain is also because of the upliftment of the or the vertical movement of the rock. So one is horizontal movement, faulting, another is vertical movement. Both of these are formed because of tectonic actions, plate tectonics in the particular region. So there are other hills apart from the Narmada, Vindhya and Satpura. You have the Nalamalla hills. Nalamalla hills you have, here is Nalamalla hills, you have Javdi hills somewhere here, and you have the Mahendragiri hills, somewhere Garjat hills is there, Mahendragiri hills is there. So these are the many types of hills. Here the rivers, whatever they flow, they have low gradient. Low gradient means, see, in the Himalayas, the rivers flow in like this direction. They will be very steep. Whereas in the peninsular, the gradient is low. Right? Himalaya gradient will be like this. Peninsula, it will be low. So you will find mostly east flowing rivers. Rivers which flow in the eastern direction. Right? So, talking about the Himalaya, next peninsular block is done. We will talk about the Himalayas and peninsular mountains. Mountains in the Himalayas and peninsular. So, in the Himalayas, the mountains are young. They are young. Why young? Because they are still growing. Because the Indian plate is crashing with the Eurasian plate. So Himalayan mountains are young, they are weak and they are flexible. So that is why you find lot of earthquakes there. They are weak and flexible. Okay. So there in the Himalayan mountains you have faults and folds. So mountain is getting folded. Folded means like this. Mountain is getting folded. Faulting means there is a gap. So all these forces are acting in the Himalayan region. So this Himalayan region, it is because of tectonic origin, you know, right? Because of the plate movement. And here whatever the rivers you find, they are in youthful stage. So when the river is in youthful stage, what is the topography? Fluvial landform you will find. So you will find gorges. So I have told you what is a gorge. It is like this. The gap. So if these are the two mountains, the gap between the mountain is a gorge where the river flows. Right? So I have shown you the diagram also. So there is gorges will be there, and also there will be gorges are there in the Himalayas. You have V-shaped valleys. V-shaped valleys means valley which are in V-shape. Then you have rapids. Rapids are fast flowing rivers, and also you have waterfalls in the region. There are a lot of waterfalls. Right? Next, we will talk about the Indo-Ganga and Brahmaputra plain. So this is about the okay. Next, we will talk about the Indo-Ganga Brahmaputra plain. So this is the Indo. So Indus River flows here, Ganga here, Brahmaputra here. So Indo-Ganga Brahmaputra plain. So one second. So this is a plain formed by the rivers. So rivers bring the sediments from the mountains and they deposit in the plains. You know, right? I've talked about the deposition. Boulders, cobbles, pebbles, all these things. Right? So this part, Indo-Ganga Brahmaputra, originally it was a depression. Depression means it was below the mean sea level. There was a fault. There was a proper hallatara. There was a depression. Right? Ground was below. So that was filled by the sediments brought by the rivers. So whatever the sediments, debris brought by the rivers, that got accumulated in the depression. Right? So later that deposition is called alluvial deposition. Alluvium deposition. Today it is up to 1 to 2 kilometers height. Alluvium deposition. So one second. So this is about the Indo-Ganga Brahmaputra plain, what we have. Then we will talk about the physiography of India. Physiography. First, when we talk about the physiography means it is a part of geography where we will study the physical characteristics of an area. So first we will talk about the north and northeast mountains. North and northeast mountains. So this is the northern mountains we are talking about. So first we will talk about the Himalayas. Himalayas are parallel mountain ranges. They are ranges which are parallel to each other. So first you have the Greater Himalayas, Greater Himalayan range. See, this is the Greater Himalaya. Can you see? This is the Greater Himalayan range, that is divided into two things. One is Greater Himalayas and the second one is Shivaliks. So Shivaliks is lesser height, Greater Himalayas is higher height, right? So the orientation, so in which direction this mountain is? See, it is in the direction from, what is this position called? So this is north, this is west. What is this direction called? Northwest. So this is from northwest to southeast direction. The orientation is northwest to southeast. Then here in the Sikkim region, it is east-west direction. Here this is Sikkim, the mountains are in the east-west direction, and in the Nagpur, Manipur region, here it is north-south direction. The Himalayas are in north-south direction. So the total length of Himalayas is how much? It is 2,500 kilometers, and the total width means agla. So the total width of Himalayas is 152. What is the total width? 160 to 400 kilometers. That is the thickness of Himalayas. Width is 160 to 400 kilometers. It is huge, right? So these Himalayas form a climatic divide, physical divide, cultural divide, and drainage divide. What do you mean by all this? So the region next to Himalayas, that is China and India, it is separated by climate, and it is separated physically, that is we cannot go cross it. Third is culturally, their culture, our culture different. Drainage, that is water going on both the sides, drainage, right? So this separation is because of what? Himalayas, right? Himalayas form this division. So first we will talk about the Kashmir and Northwest Himalayas. In the Kashmir you will find four things. One is the Kashmir Himalayas. First thing you will find the Karakoram range. Here is the, where is the Karakoram range? Yeah, Karakoram range is the topmost range. Next you will find the Ladakh range. This is the Ladakh, Union Territory of Ladakh was formed, right? So next you have the Zaskar range. Third one is Zaskar. Fourth is the Pir Panjal. These are the four ranges you will find in the Kashmir and Northwest Himalayas. Clear? So in the northeast, here you will find the cold desert, Ladakh cold desert. So have you seen this movie Three Idiots? So there in the last scene, you will be in front of a lake, right? So that is a cold desert region. So northeast Ladakh cold desert region is shown in the Three Idiots movie, right? So Kashmir Valley. So Kashmir Valley is, see, here Greater Himalayas is there, and here you have the Pir Panjal range. So between Pir Panjal and Greater Himalayas, you will find the Kashmir, Srinagar Valley will be found. The Kashmir Valley is between Greater Himalayas and Pir Panjal. Please remember. Then in the Kashmir Valley, valley means, you know, right? Valley means what? Between two mountains, the depression is a valley. So in the Kashmir Valley, you will find the Kareva formation. What is Kareva? It is a glacial clay deposit. Kareva is a type of soil. So this soil, Kareva, is found only in the Kashmir Valley, right? It is because of the glacier, the clay which comes from below the glacier. So there Kashmir is famous for saffron. Why saffron? It is called not as saffron. In Kashmir it is called as saffron. So why? Because it is grown in this particular soil called as Kareva soil, right? Okay. So there are multiple glaciers also here. Glaciers, you know what is glacier, from where the rivers originate. So the Siachen Glacier. So we have the world's highest battlefield, Indian Army. Right? Where is it? Siachen Glacier, Operation Meghdoot, where India occupied so India did not occupy, it was any of our land, it was occupied by the traitors, Pakistanis, so we reoccupied it, Operation Meghdoot, right? Siachen Glacier is there, Baltoro Glacier is there, all these glaciers are there. So we will talk about the passes now. The passes are very, very important from your exam perspective. So first pass is Zojila Pass. So where is this Zojila Pass? Zojila Pass is on Greater Himalayas. It is on Greater Himalayas. Then you have the Potula Pass. What is a pass in first place? See, these are very big mountains. So in order to cross the mountains, these passes are very small places where we can cross the mountains, where the mountains are not very steep, right? So next you have the Potula Pass. Potula Pass is on Zaskar Range. Zaskar Range. See, here is Zojila. Zojila on Greater Himalayas. Potula is not shown. Then you have, what is next? Banihal Pass. Banihal Pass is on Pirpanjal. Then last one you have Kardungla Pass. Kardungla Pass is on Ladakh Range. Ladakh Range, Kardungla Pass is there. So they have also shown Baralachala Pass is there. Baralachala is also on Greater Himalayas, I believe. Then you have Shipkila. Shipkila is in Himachal Pradesh. Shipkila Pass is also there. Totally 6 passes, very, very important. Right? So also certain lakes are there here. Dal Lake and, so there are 2 freshwater lakes here. What are they? Dal Lake and Ular Lake. Jhelum passes through Dal Lake or Ular Lake? It passes through Ular Lake, right? W-U-L-A-R. Then you have 2 saltwater lakes, Pengangso and Somoriri. Pengangso and Somoriri. I think Pengangso is above, and so Pengangso, the where India Galwan Valley clash took place, right? It is on Pengangso. So it is here, Pengangso and Somoriri. Again, what are these lakes? Again, go back to Three Idiots movie. He will be standing in front of that lake, right? It is a saltwater lake, Pengangso or Somoriri. It is also shown in this Rajnikant's movie, Indiran, Robo. In that, one of the songs is shot on these lakes, Pengangso and Somoriri, right? Then there are, what are the rivers that pass through this region? You have Indus River. Indus, where is Indus going? Indus will be, this is Indus, this river, this is Indus. So you have Indus River, you have Jhelum River, Jhelum, see, Jhelum is here. Then you have the Chenab River, Chandrabhaga. Chenab River is also there, right? So Jhelum passes through the Ular Lake. Here, Jhelum, one special feature about the Jhelum is, see, I have told you about meanders. Meanders means this type of formation, river flowing in this direction. So Jhelum, here it is in youthful stage. But youthful stage, we are not finding the meanders. It is only found in the mature stage. But why do we find the meanders on Jhelum in the youthful stage? Because there is a local base level. See, earlier there was a big lake here. So big lake gave a horizontal bed over which Jhelum flew. So when Jhelum was coming from a valley, when it found a horizontal bed, it was coming from a valley. So generally, when coming from a valley, rivers don't form meanders. But Jhelum forms it because earlier it was coming from a valley. When it is coming from, it found a lake, flat lake. In the flat lake, it started forming meanders, right? It is because of the local base level provided by the earlier lake. Then you find many pilgrimage sites here. Vaishno Devi, Amarnath Cave, all these things are found here. Then you have dune formation, dunes. What are dunes? They are longitudinal, they are valleys. Dunes are valleys. You know what is a valley. But valleys which are very long are called dunes, right? So what are the dunes? You have Jammu Dune, Pathankot Dune. Pathankot Dune, where the terrorist attack on the Indian Air Force base happened, right? These are the dunes. Next, we will talk about the Himachal and Uttarakhand Himalayas. Uttarakhand Himalayas. So here you have 2 rivers. It is between 2 rivers. The Himachal and Uttarakhand Himalayas. The western boundary is Ravi River, and eastern boundary is Kali River. Kali River goes somewhere here. So this is the boundary for the Uttarakhand and Himachal Himalayas, right? Okay. So, what are the rivers that flow here? Ravi, Beas and Satluj. Ravi, Beas, Satluj. These are the three rivers. You will find it here. And some rivers. Yamuna and Gagra also has its origin here. Yamunotri, Bander Punch is also. Where does Yamunotri originate? Yamuna, where does it originate? Yamunotri, right? Where is it? It is in Bander Punch, right? Ganga, Gaumok, Gangotri, Gagra. Gagra is a tributary of which river? Ganga river. That also originates here. So here you find similarly three ranges, same three ranges. The first range is Greater Himalayan Range. The second range is the Lesser Himalayan Range. And third range is Shivaliks. Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas and Shivaliks. These three ranges you will find here also. So here Lesser Himalayas are called as Nagtiba. In Uttarakhand, Lesser Himalayas are called as Nagtiba. In Himachal Pradesh, they are called as Doladar. Right? They are called as Doladar. So there are many hill stations also here. Dharmashala, Mussoorie, Shimla. All these are the hill stations where the British went and enjoyed. Right? Then you have Shivalik formation. Shivalik are the smallest hills of the Himalayas. So here in the Shivaliks, Shivaliks are found here also. Then you find the Dun formation, longitudinal valleys. What are the duns in this region? You have Dehradun and you have Kota Dun, you have Arike Dun. All are the duns. So the biggest dun is the Dehradun, 35 to 40 kilometers. I have been there last 4 days back. Very high traffic. Okay. Then you have the in this region, what are the people who are located? You will find one tribe called as Bhutias. Bhutias is the tribe in this region, Himachal and Uttarakhand Himalayas. So they are nomadic people. Nomadic means they don't stay in one places. They will take their animals and roam around. So they will go to this grassland in the upper regions called Bugyals. So in summer what happens? This ice will melt and grasses will grow. In summer they will go up the mountains. Right? They will go up the mountain. In winter, ice will start forming. They will come down the mountain. So they are called Bhutias. Right? Here you will find the valley of flowers in this region, Uttarakhand and Himachal. So it is in the Uttarakhand, a valley of flowers. Then also you have this Chardham. What are the Chardham areas in this region? You have Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath. So Chardham includes these 4 areas, right? Well, just check where is Valley of Flowers. Valley of Flowers is in Uttarakhand. I am damn sure. Uttarakhand National Park, Valley of Flowers. Yes. So then we will. This is about the Himachal and Uttarakhand Himalayas. So Himalaya cross-sectional view of Himalayas. So first you have, see, this is Greater Himalayas, tall, right? Then you have Mid Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas. Then you have Shivalik, that is the smallest of the Himalayas. Then you have the plain, Maidan region. Clear? So after Greater Himalayas, you will find the Ladakh range. Ladakh, cold desert. Then you have Kailash range, above Ladakh region. Kailash range, it is here. See Kailash range, above Ladakh. Yeah? So it is less taller than the Ladakh range. After that, you will find the in height, you will find the Tibetan plateau. This is the Tibetan plateau, occupied by whom? China. Then you will find the Kunlun slope, Kunlun mountain. Where is Kunlun? Here it is Kunlun. So this is the cross-sectional view of the mountains for your better understanding. Then we will talk about the Darjeeling and Sikkim Himalayas. So this Darjeeling Himalayas, it is between Nepal and Bhutan. See, here it is. Here is Nepal, here is Bhutan, between which you have the what? What do you have? Darjeeling and Sikkim Himalayas. Here you have fast flowing rivers. Can you name one river in this region? Tista. So West Bengal and Bangladesh are fighting over this river. Right? Tista river, which is the mountain range in this region, you have Kanchenjunga, also called Kanchenjunga. Right? Kanchenjunga National Park. Okay, so here also there are one particular tribe in this region. The particular tribe name is Lepcha tribe. Lepcha tribes are associated here. Here you will find moderate slope. In the Himalayas there is steep slope, but in this region you will find moderate slope. So that is why and also there was good soil. That is why British went and put lot of tea plantation here in this region. That is why you have this famous Darjeeling tea from this region, right? So in this region, there is one surprising factor is in this region you won't find the Shivaliks. Shivaliks is not present in this region, but you will find Duar formation, D-U-A-R. Duar formation is found in this region. What is Duar? Duar is just like Dunj, right? There it is good for growing teas, right? Tea plantation, tea gardens are found here. Okay. So next we will talk about the Arunachal Himalayas. In Arunachal, when we talk about Arunachal Himalayas, it goes from Bhutan to Namcha Barwa. Dipu Pass. Dipu Pass. So here somewhere it is Dipu Pass is there, right? And from Bhutan, from here to here is the Arunachal Himalayas. So in which direction it is there? Direction southwest to northeast. The direction is southwest to northeast. So here also you have there are multiple peaks here. Peaks means big mountains. You have Namcha Barwa peak is here, and also Kangtu peak. It is not shown in the map. Kangtu peak is also here. So here in this region you will find the fast flowing rivers. What are the fast flowing rivers? The Brahmaputra, Kameng, Zubansiri, Dihang, Dibang, Lohit. All these fast flowing rivers you will find in this region. So they form deep gorges. You know already what is gorges? It is the parallel valleys or parallel areas where parallel faults in the rocks through which the river flows, right? So there are multiple ethnic tribes in this region, that is the tribal people. So you have Monpas. So from west to east, what are the tribal people present here? Very, very important. First, here you will find the Monpas, M-O-N-P-A-S, Monpas. Then you will find the Abors, Abor people. Then you will find the Mishmi people. All these are tribal people. Then you find the Nishi people, N-Y-A-I-S-H-E, Nishi people. Then you find the Nagas. Nagas are found here also. So these are the 5 types of tribe people you will find. In this region you will find the slash and burn technique of cultivation. Slash and burn is jumming. Jumming type of cultivation is found here, and also it is rugged topography. Rugged means it is not very easy to travel in this region. The topography is not flat. Then you will find the eastern Himalayas, eastern hills and mountains. So it is in the north and south direction. Here what are the mountains? First you will find the Patkai Bum. What bum? Patkai Bum is the first one. Then you will find the Naga Hills. Then what do you find? The Manipur Hills. Here you will find the Manipur Hills, and the last, not the least, Mizo Hills. So Mizo Hills is also called as Lushai Hills. There is Lushai people there. Lushai Hills, right? There are certain rivers. So where do you find this Barak river? It is between, not Barack Obama. There is one river called Barak. So three Baraks are important for the world. One is Barack Obama. So there are 2 other Baraks. So one is Barak missile. Barak missile given by whom? Israel to India. Barak missile. And one more is Barak river in the northeast region between Mizoram and Manipur. It is between Mizoram and Manipur. So in Manipur you find this lake called as Loktak Lake. Loktak Lake is very, very important because it is under this Ramsar Convention. Ramsar Convention, it is a convention for protecting the wetlands, under which there is one record called Montrex record, under which Loktak Lake is there. So this Loktak Lake, it is a lake surrounded by mountains. Everywhere there is mountains. In the middle, one lake is there. That is the Loktak Lake. So here you will find this one type of special vegetation, Pumdi vegetation. So Pumdi means they are like vegetation grown in the lake. It's like grasses grown in the lake. So there you have the Pumdi. One national park is also there on that land, on that Pumdi vegetation. In the Loktak Lake, one national park is also there, grown over the Pumdi vegetation, right? So next you will in the Mizoram. Mizoram, what is Mizoram called as? Mizoram is called as molasses basin. This is very, very important. Mizoram is called the molasses basin. Why? Because there is soft unconsolidated deposits. Deposits are there, mountain deposits are there, which are soft and not consolidated, right? So there is one river in this region, Mizoram and Manipur. The river is Chindwin River. Chindwin River, it flows into Irrawaddy. Where does Irrawaddy flow? In Myanmar, right? Okay. So this is all about the mountains. Next, we will talk about the northern plains, northern plain region. Yes, this is the northern plain region. So in the northern plain, you will find northern plains is made up of Indus, Brahmaputra, and Ganga River. Ganga River's deposits, right? So this plain from east to west, how much does it measure? What is the measurement? So from here, almost from here, it is still here. This region is the northern plain, right? So what is the length of the northern plain? It is 3,200 kilometers east to west. What is the width of the northern plain? It is 150 to 300 kilometers. 150 to 300 kilometers is the width. What is the depth? Depth means height from the surface. So 2 kilometers, 1 to 2 kilometers of alluvial deposits are located in this area, 1 to 2 kilometers, right? So if you look at the northern plains, from north to south, it can be divided into 3 zones. 3 zones. The zones are Babar, Terai, and alluvial plain. Babar plain, Terai plain, alluvial plain. This can again be divided into Bangar and Kadar. This is very, very important. Bangar and Kadar. So this Babar plain. So this Babar plain is here. So you know the Shivalik mountains, right? This Babar plain is parallel to the Shivalik mountains. It is just located next to Shivalik mountains. It is of the length 8 to 10 kilometers. 8 to 10 kilometers. So here when the streams they come from the Shivaliks, they will deposit all the big materials in the Babar plain. All the big materials are dropped in the Babar plain and they disappear in the, see when all the big materials are dropped, the materials will become so big that the river itself will become invisible. It will flow below the material, right, in the Babar plain. Then you will find the Terai plain. After Babar, you will find the Terai plain, next plain. In the Terai plain, it is of the length 10 to 20 kilometers, right? So I told you the rivers which have disappeared in the Babar plain, they will come out of the Terai plain. They will re-emerge from the Terai plain. So in the Terai plain, since rivers are coming out, it is made up of marshy and swampy area. What is marshy and swampy? It is water and vegetation mix. I will show you what is how a marshy and swampy place looks like. Because if you don't see it, it will be difficult to understand. 1 second. So let it load. Internet is slow. So this Terai region is made up of marshy and swampy area. So this is a marshy and swampy area. Full vegetation is also there. Also, trees are also there. Water is also there. Can you see? This is a marshy and swampy area, right? The Terai region looks like this, and here there is a lot of good vegetation. Good vegetation you can find in this region, right? So next comes the region called Bangar region. What is Bangar region? It is a next region. It is formed out of old alluvium. This is a marshy and swampy area. The internet is slow. Okay. So next comes the Bangar region. Bangar region, it is made up of old alluvium. That is alluvium which has bought by the rivers. It has been deposited long back. That is old soil is called as, old alluvial soil is called as Bangar region, and the new alluvial soil is called as Kadar soil. Kadar soil, right? So next you will find the Bangar and Kadar. So if there is a river, if Ganga is flowing like this, next to Ganga, what do you find? Would you find the Kadar or Bangar? Just next to the Ganga river, on the banks of the Ganga, will you find Kadar or Bangar? You will find Kadar, because new alluvium is deposited immediately. Old alluvium soil, which is Bangar, it is located a bit far away, right? So this is the concept. Okay. So next you will find in this region you will find the mature stage of fluvial erosion. Mature stage of fluvial means what? Water related erosion. So erosion which takes place because of the water. So you will find mature stage. What are the things you will find in this plains? You will find sandbars. Sandbars and the deposition of sand within the river. Then you will find meanders. Meanders, I have told you, meanders you will find. Then you will find oxbow lakes. I have told you what is oxbow lake. If there is a meander like this, then some lake is cut off. That is a oxbow lake. Oxbow lake also you will find. Then you will find braided channels. What are braided channels? So if a river is coming like this, it will get distributed like this. This is a braided channel. You will also find the braided channel in this region. So why braided channel? See what happens when they bring the deposits, they will deposit the materials here. So when the materials is deposited, what happens? The river will get diverted. River will get diverted because some material will be deposited. The river will get clashed with it and it will be divided. So that is the braided channel. So it is a shifting river courses. So when a river is coming, it will deposit something here. It will shift like this. So the river channel will shift. And when the river channel shifts, what happens? Flooding will happen. Earlier there was no water here. People would have constructed houses. So some deposition happens and river comes like this. Flooding will happen. So also you will find the large deltas in this region. Deltas where the rivers will meet the ocean. Sundarban Delta is the best example. So I told you there are three rivers here, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. So which forms the division between these rivers? It is Haryana and Delhi region. Haryana and Delhi region forms the divide between the Indus and Ganga. So Indus goes like this, Ganga comes like this. Division is formed by the Haryana and Delhi region, Delhi ridge. Okay. So Brahmaputra flows from northeast to southwest direction. See, it is flowing from northeast to southwest direction. Here in this point it takes 90 degree turn. Here see, it is taking 90-degree turn. So this 90-degree turn is taken at one place called Dhubri. Dhubri, and it will flow into Bangladesh, right? So here also lot of alluvium soil is deposited in this region, and crops are grown. Crops are grown because of alluvium, and there is large population. There is also floods also. So next we will talk about the peninsular plateau. Peninsular plateau, right? So what is peninsular plateau? So this peninsular plateau I have already discussed. What is peninsular plateau? It is something like this. This entire part is a peninsular plateau. So its elevation is up to from 600 meters to 900 meters is the elevation, and it is a irregular triangle. It forms a irregular triangle. So in the northwest, you have the northwest boundary is made up of Delhi Ridge. Northwest boundary you have Aravalli Range and Delhi Ridge, and to the east you have Rajmahal Hills, and to the west you have Gir forest. So Gir natural, where tigers are there, lions are there. Then you have towards the south you have the Cardamom Hills in Kerala, right? So not only that, there are in this plateau, in the peninsular plateau, within the plateau you will find some small plateaus. They are called as patland plateaus. Plateaus within the plateaus are called patland plateaus. So what are the types of plateaus? You have Karnataka plateau is there, you have Deccan plateau is there, you have Coimbatore plateau is there, Ranchi plateau is there, Hazaribagh plateau is also there. So this is the oldest and most stable region. Plateau, this plateau is the oldest and the most stable, and its elevation is from west to east. Means what? So in this, so if you take this plateau like this, its elevation is like this, west to east. That is why all the rivers flows into Bay of Bengal. This region it is high because of Western Ghats. Here it is low. Clear? So elevation is from west to east. It slopes towards the. Okay. So I missed one thing. Okay. So physiography. So physiogeography. What is the physical geography or the physical characteristics of this place? You will find the block mountains. In this region, you will find the block mountains of Vindhya and Satpura. You will find Rift Valley where the Narmada flows. Then you will find bare rocky structure on the. You will find spurs. Spurs are what? I have discussed it in the concept of valley, glacier valleys. So spurs are triangle shaped valleys. Triangle shaped valleys, you will find these spurs there. You will also find bare rocky structure, and there will be rocky plateaus. Rocky plateaus will be there. Then there will be dikes. Dikes I have discussed in the volcano forms. Dikes are vertical forms of vertical when the volcano or the lava gets solidified in the vertical position, they form the dikes. Then you have hummocky hills. Also you have what? Hummocky hills in this region. So here this place is made up of this plateau, that is the peninsular plateau is made up of black soil. It is full of black soil where the cotton is grown. That is why it is called as black cotton soil, right? So here in this plateau there is upliftment and submergence as well. So what is upliftment and submergence? Because of the tectonic activities, that is plate tectonics, some mountains are uplifted, some parts have gone down, that is submergence. That is faulting and fracturing has taken place. That is why there is a fault. That is, there is a fault and there is a division. So there is where the Bhima river flows, the India is getting divided there. That is, the Indian plate is breaking at the Bhima fault, right? Okay. So next we will in the northwest region. In the northwest region, you will find ravines, Chambal ravines. Ravines you will find in the Chambal, Bind and Morena region. What is ravines? They are also a form of topography. I'll show you how a ravine looks like. Chambal ravines. So it is actually shown in this Sipai Ramu movie. This is the Chambal ravine. Seen this, right, in the Sipai Ramu movie. So, art baralvenappa ellige payana yavudu thari. In that he will be moving in this region. So, this is the Chambal ravines. So, it is found in the northwest part of the plateau, that is peninsular plateau. Next, you have the Deccan plateau. So, in the Deccan plateau, it is in the Deccan plateau you have what? Western Ghats, and in the Deccan plateau you have it is bounded by Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, and see, this Western Ghats is having very good height and it is continuous. It is continuous from here to here, it is continuous, Western Ghats, whereas Eastern Ghats is discontinuous, it has broken, right? So, and it is of low height. Eastern Ghats is of low height. So, in the north, Deccan Plateau is, the northern boundary of Deccan Plateau is formed by three mountains, that is the Satpura mountain. If Vindhyas is here, Satpura mountains, then also Maikala range and Mahadev hills. Maikala range and Mahadev hills. These three things, that is the Satpura mountains, Maikala and Mahadev range, forms the northern boundary of the Deccan Plateau, right? So this Western Ghats, what is it called in the along the boundary? So Western Ghats is called as Sahyadris in Maharashtra. What is it called in the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu? It is called as Nilgiris. In Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, Western Ghats is called as Nilgiris, and in Kerala it is called as Cardamom Hills. Cardamom Hills or the Annamalai. Annamalai, not the police officer. The mountain. Annamalai Hills, right? So the tallest part of the, so this, in the Annamalai Hills, you have one place called Anaimudi. Anaimudi, it is the, in the South India, that is the tallest peak, right? Anaimudi, right? So it is of the height 2.7 kilometer height, right? Then you have Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats, you have, it is eroded by rivers. Whatever the rivers that come from this side, they have broken the Eastern Ghats. They have broken the Eastern Ghats into multiple parts. They are eroded by rivers. So here you have multiple mountains. You have Javdi Hills, you have Nallamalla Hills, you have Mahendragiri Hills, right? Garjat Hills. All these hills are there in the where? Eastern Ghats, right? Where do the Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats meet? Both of them meet at the Nilgiri Hills. Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats meet at the Nilgiri Hills. Then you have the Central Highland. This is the Central Highland part. So what is Central Highland? In Central Highland, the boundary is, western part is Aravali Hills. Aravali Hills form the western part. Then to the south you have Satpura Hills, not the Vindhya. To the south you have the Satpura Hills. So then it is this Central Highland, it goes up to Jaisalmer. Jaisalmer here, right? It goes up to Jaisalmer. In the Jaisalmer region, the plateau is at the bottom, but above which sand has filled. So this Jaisalmer also comes forms a part of the peninsular plateau. So that is part of the Central Highland. So in the Jaisalmer region, you will find what? Sand ridges and dunes, crescent shaped dunes. Sand ridges, and I have told, when the sand has deposited in the form of a ridge. Sand ridges and crescent shaped dunes are found in the Jaisalmer region. So these crescent shaped dunes are called as what? Barchans. I have discussed in the word physical geography. So then in the Satpura region, Satpura region of the Central Highlands, you find scarped plateau. Scarped plateau. Scarped plateau is a type of broken plateau. Plateau is a what? First of all, you should understand plateau. Plateau is a land which is above the mean sea level. It is formed of igneous rock.
right? So that plateau, if it is broken at places, it is a scarp plateau. So this scarp plateau you will find in the Satpura region, right? Satpura region is formed out of scarp plateau. It forms the southern boundary of the central highland, right? So what are the rocks that are found here? What is the type of rock that is found in the central highland? It is metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock, that is marble, slate and gneiss. Central highland you will find the metamorphic rocks of metamorphosis, I have told, because of pressure, temperature, volume variation, PVT changes, the rocks, igneous rock or sedimentary rocks get converted into metamorphic rocks. So granite is a igneous rock, marble is a metamorphic rock. So it is formed out of metamorphic rocks. The height of the central highland is 700 to 1 kilometer. Height is 700 to 1 kilometer. It slopes towards the north. See, this central highland, it is sloping towards the north. So Satpura, let's say Satpura hill is here and this is the central highland, this is north, this is south, this is north, andre this central highland is sloping towards the north. Towards the north there is elevation down, there is proper down elevation or degrade, or there is a gradient. That is why the rivers, whatever the rivers that originate in the central highland, they fall towards they go and fall into the Ganga and Yamuna because there is a elevation. So that is why these tributaries Banas and Chambal, which rivers tributary are they? Yamuna river tributary Banas and Chambal fall into the Yamuna because of the slope in the region. So the eastern boundary of this central highland is the Rajmahal Hills. Rajmahal Hills. So the last concept of the day is northeastern plateau. Northeastern plateau. This plateau we have to discuss. So it is an extension of peninsular plateau. I told you, peninsular block is broken here by the Malda fault, and there is a northeastern plateau here. So Indian plate, this plate moved towards the northeast. When it moved towards the northeast, there was a fault here, because of which that fault is called as Malda fault. This fault is later, it's a depression filled by the debris of the rivers, right? It is detached from India. So there is no connection of this northeast fault with the India. It is now broken. So it consists of 3 hills. What are the 3 hills? Garo, Jaintia and Kashi hills. So here there are multiple minerals. So in the central highlands also there is one area called Chota Nagpur Plateau. Chota Nagpur Plateau has lot of minerals. Likewise, this area also has lot of minerals. So this area you will find southwest monsoons. The monsoon which comes to the Kerala, it will also go to the northeastern plateau region. So that is why there is high rainfall. Which is the place of highest rainfall in the world? Mawsynram, Chirapunji. So you will find it here in this region, Meghalaya, right? So that's it for the day. So we will meet again. Please take care of your health. If you have any doubts, please put it in the comment section, or do contact us on our Telegram channel, VHS Education Forum, and also you can give feedback about the quality and improvement, whatever suggestions you have. Please make good use of the classes, both freshers and veterans. We are putting in lot of hard work so that the classes run for free of cost, and take care of your health. Jai Hind, Namaste.